radicals on the right as well. We have radicals on the left. People are watching all of these videos and cheering. Some people are cheering that Charlie was killed. How do we fix this country? How do we come back together?
I'll tell you something that's going to get me in trouble, but I couldn't care less. The radicals on the right oftentimes are radical because they don't want to see crime. They don't want to see crime.
Worried about the border.
They're saying, we don't want these people coming in. We don't want you burning our shopping centers. We don't want you shooting our people in the middle of the street. The radicals on the left are the problem. And they're vicious, and they're horrible, and they're politically savvy. Although they want men and women sports, they want transgender for everyone, they want open borders.
All right, so let's get a few things straight. He was an independent, the shooter. He was an independent. He voted for Trump. His whole family was conservatives. His mom and his dad are Republicans. They also voted for Trump as well as the shooter. The shooter himself ended up voting for Trump. Unlike what Nancy Mace ended up saying, he wasn't trans. He wasn't a part of that whole community. Yeah, so their narrative did not age well at all. Did not age well at all. Dude just had hate in his heart. That's it. He did not like what Charlie Kirk ended up saying, and as I've already indicated, you guys, I didn't agree with anything that Charlie Kirk ended up saying. Maybe one or two things that he ended up saying, but no, most of the stuff that came out of that guy's mouth, not at all. Not at all. But still did not give him the right to take that man's life. So now, let the courts decide. Plain and simple. Pretty sure people are going to be watching it, you know. Not sure if they're going to televise it or not, but, you know, time for the courts to handle the system. They got the dude, dent off himself, sitting in jail. His own father turned him in. Let me know your thoughts.
Did you see the parade of angry white men chanting, "White man, fight back! White man, fight back!" It's extremely alarming to hear, but I'm more so confused. My brother in Christ, for people that look like us to the outside world, it appears that we run and own everything. So most people are curious, who are you fighting back against? And not only that, if you're talking about Charlie Kirk, if you're talking about most mass and school shooters, they're people that look like us. They're white people. So I'm genuinely confused. When you're out there on the street with your tiki torches and you're yelling, "White man, fight back!" What? Who? Who are you being oppressed by? Ourselves? We need to be fighting ourselves? I'm curious. And not to mention, after the third or fourth time saying, "White men, fight back," don't you just naturally want to get quiet and just be like, oh... Maybe white men should be fighting back against our own, against fellow people that look like us. We can stand up for injustices, absolutely, but to think that white men are the ones being oppressed, hard to gain an audience on that platform, my guy.
White man, fight back! White man, fight back! White man, fight back!
White men fight back against what? Other white Christian men? Did they not get the memo that it was another white Christian man that shot Charlie Kirk? What are they protesting about? White men fight back against whom? I mean, they're going to use this obviously as a rallying cry to continue to be more racist, because that's what they are when you have a bunch of neo-Nazis and white supremacists upset that Charlie Kirk is no longer with us. It makes me wonder what kind of Christian values Charlie Kirk was talking about if the white nationalists and the white supremacists are upset that he and his ideas are no longer with us. Anyway, who are they fighting back against? Because it's constantly white Christian men in this country who are the problem. It's not just white men, it's white Christian men. It's always Christian men, Christian pastors, Christian politicians. How many white Christian men do you think we're going to find on the Epstein list if it ever gets released? Oh, I bet you there's going to be a lot of white Christian men on that list. It's always white Christian men. So let's not pull punches and act like that's not the case. The problem in this country is white Christian men. I can't imagine what's going to go wrong when you have a bunch of neo-Nazis talking about white men fight back. Is this how we make America great again? Okay. All right, let's see what happens. It won't be good.
Oh my God, Charlie Kirk died just because of a difference of opinion. He just wanted a debate and he was killed for it. Y'all know nothing. You functionally know nothing. Do you actually still believe this is about a difference of opinion? Now, we don't actually know if Charlie Kirk was assassinated for his political views, but it kind of doesn't matter at this point. Everyone's already talking about it and taking a side on this. And I have seen so many fucking white people come out here and be all like, if you support gun control, there's no way you can support this. You need to condemn this. This is disgusting. How could you use violence? And listen, I get it. Okay, it's not easy to see a man get shot the way Charlie Kirk did. I didn't like it. Right? But you need to understand that this is not about a difference of opinion. This has always been a war. A war that has been fought for decades, for centuries, actually. And you have been completely blind to it. Charlie Kirk is just the one you've seen because it's big. Like, if you ask any white person who Malcolm X is, right? Just ask them. I've asked my family, and I've asked people, and they generally go like, I think he was, fucking Malcolm in the Middle. I don't know. They literally don't know. Ask them who, what was it, Medgar Evers or George Lee. Ask them how Martin Luther King Jr. died. And I've heard some people say shit like, oh, well, didn't he die because he cheated on his wife and the husband killed him? These people know nothing, right? You are literally blind. There have been so many political assassinations going on for so long, and you're only seeing the white one. Okay? You're only seeing the one that's so loud because he looks like you. It is time for you to decide if your political beliefs are worth dying for. And I know that sounds like such an escalation, but that is where we're at. And I mean, black people have known this for ages. Any black activist has always been willing to risk their life for the freedoms they are fighting for, because they know they're not just fighting for themselves, they're fighting for all people of color that look like them. But white people have never had to risk our lives like that. White people have never had, we can go out and say functionally anything and not worry about getting assassinated. But as things escalate, it is time for you to decide who you're fighting for and if it's worth risking your life for. And the truth is, we are willing to risk our lives so that concentration camps stop happening, so that border jails stop happening, so that children aren't taken from their mothers, so that black people aren't killed in the streets. We are willing to risk our lives for that. And I don't want anyone to die, right? I don't want any violence to happen from this. But I understand that the opposition, the war that has been going on for so long, isn't only gonna be settled by sitting down, being quiet, and saying, oh, well, I hope it changes. It's gonna happen by people standing up and risking their lives. And Charlie Kirk was a live by the sword, die by the sword motherfucker, I guess, and he died for what he believed in. I don't think it was fucking worth it. I don't think for one bit anything that he said was worth dying for. But I know many, many liberals that have said things that I believe would be worth dying for, and they go out there and they do the work. And it is time for you to decide what kind of person you are and whether or not you're willing to risk your life for your political beliefs, because that is where we're at. And if you haven't realized that yet, then you have been blind to the war that has been going on for decades. And that's white privilege for you. You're lucky that you've been blind to it. I've been lucky. I've been able to live till my 20s without knowing the deep darkness that has happened in our country. But it's not going to be darkness forever. It's going to come to light. And when that happens, violence can also come from it, because people are going to have to fight for their lives, and you have to decide if you're going to be with those people fighting or if you're going to be someone who stands in their way. Because that's what war is, and it's unfortunate. That's what revolution is, and it's going to be televised. And that's why we saw what happened to Charlie Kirk. And it sucks, and I get it, and I feel sympathy, and I'm sort of mad I feel sympathy for him. But that's where it's at. And it's time for you all to decide where you're at. Peace, folks.
I'm going to say this. Democrats own what happened today. I am devastated. My kids have called panicking. Every conservative in the country called panicking.
She's a lawmaker. She's a congresswoman. And she's not the only one saying this. The Democrats are responsible for this. Fox News, Jesse Waters, the Democrats are responsible for this. They're literally telling the conservative, the right-wing viewers, the right-wing voters, the right-wing crowd to declare war on the left. And what's the result of that?
This video's in regards to Charlie Kirk. And this video's for the liberals. It's war, muckers. We're coming for you. We're coming for you. And spare me your self-righteous bullshit lectures. I don't give a We're coming for you.
When I said earlier that I condemn violence, I will not condone violence. This is why violence only begets violence. They are blaming this on the left, blaming this on Democrats when we're not the ones that spread the rhetoric of, gun violence is okay. Charlie Kirk himself spreads the rhetoric that gun violence is acceptable. But I need you to understand the communities that are most in danger with this type of rhetoric, this type of violence being threatened, this type of war on the streets being threatened. Not people that look like me. Unless you talk to me, unless you follow me online, you won't know that I'm a leftist. I'm pretty Republican coded. When they say they're going after the left, they're going to profile people to determine who the left is. So if you are black and brown, if you are trans, if you are queer, if they feel like you're trans, if they feel like you're queer, if they feel like you're a leftist at all, then you can be a target of this violence. And no, I'm not saying that everybody in the LGBTQIA plus community or black and brown community is a leftist. That's what they think. So why do I condemn violence? It's because always in this country, when violent rhetoric gets turned up, it's always marginalized communities that pay the highest price for it. Violence only begets violence forever and always. Nonviolent civil disobedience does work. We need to do it en masse. We need to shut the system down. But now, by the actions of one man, everybody on the right is using this as an opportunity to attack. Because guess what? The people on the right, the politicians on the right, they know they're losing. They know that the nonviolent civil disobedience is working. They know that the tide is turning against them. They know that the American people are not standing for their bullshit. So they need something. They need something to take control of it and stop us. They're grabbing onto this violent act to declare war on the left. And the most ironic part of the entire thing is that everybody I hear from the left is condemning the violence, condemning the shooting, and they are now calling for more violence. It is always their rhetoric that calls for violence, and it is always the rhetoric of the left to preach nonviolence and condemn acts of violence.
All death can do to the believer is deliver him to Jesus. A bullet fired at Charlie Kirk is a bullet fired at all of us. There will be no mercy, no diplomacy, and no surrender to those extremists and their anti-Christian and anti-conservative values and ideology who seek to wipe us out. Charlie was not a violent man. He was a family man. We are under attack and we must defend ourselves. It is time for justice, and war has now been declared.
You know what? I spent the better part of all last night feeling sick to my stomach. Feeling sick to my stomach about the video I saw coming out of that Utah case. Sick to my stomach. Feeling horrified. At the same time that was going on, there was yet another act of violence at a school. Sick to my stomach that Minnesota representatives are getting attacked. Sick to my stomach that we have a nation leading the world with money and progress and all of these things, and you're leading the world with horrific violence, hate, and aggression. I wish I had a chalkboard lesson. I wish I had a word to write and everybody would pay attention, because I write that, I joke, and everybody thinks it's so funny and watches me. Yet I am watching the unraveling of a civilization while people take control over it, amp up fear, amp up hatred, amp up violence, and lead with it. I don't have that solution. I am so tired of a nation that is supposed to be leading this world. All of the resources, all of the access, all of the advantages that they have, and you are shooting each other in the streets? I wish I had some sort of magic quote to say. I wish I could be funny enough for you guys to listen to me and to stop. But I am going to say this. You are not going to beat violence with more violence. I promise you that. You aren't going to just go up and up and up in this escalation of stupidity and hope for a good end. It won't end well. You want this to stop? Come up with actual solutions. Come up with ways of taking care of your children, educating your children, feeding your children, actually helping people with mental health issues. Figure out ways to give everybody access and empathy and inclusivity in that society, because if you don't, it will all burn to the ground. Start leading with the change, not with pointing the finger and saying they're the problem, because that's getting everybody absolutely nowhere. Come up with a solution, and if you don't have one, shut up.
Charlie loved life. He loved his life. He loved America. He loved nature, which helped him always bring him closer to God. He loved the Chicago Cubs. And my goodness, did he love the Oregon Ducks. Want me to say go Ducks, so I have to since they play on Saturday. So go Ducks. But most of all, Charlie loved his children. And he loved me. I want to thank my husband's dear friend, Vice President Vance, and his phenomenal wife, Usha, for their love and support. You guys honored my husband so well, bringing him home. I want to thank President Trump and his incredible family for the same. Mr. President, my husband loved you. And he knew that you loved him too. The evildoers responsible for my husband's assassination have no idea what they have done. You have no idea what you just have unleashed across this entire country and this world. You have no idea. You have no idea the fire that you have ignited within this wife. The cries of this widow will echo around the world like a battle cry. They should all know this. If you thought that my husband's mission was powerful before, you have no idea. You have no idea what you just have unleashed across this entire country and this world. You have no idea. You have no idea the fire that you have ignited within this wife. The cries of this widow will echo around the world like a battle cry. To everyone listening tonight across America, the movement my husband built will not die. It won't. I refuse to let that happen. It will not die. All of us will refuse to let that happen. No one will ever forget my husband's name, and I will make sure of it.
Charlie Kirk's widow, Erica Kirk, live streamed a message last night, and if that video was anything, it was a further call to war. Now, if you haven't seen it, I suggest you go watch it because the visuals and messaging are absolutely fascinating. And just like my video from last night, it's time to clock in and listen up because we're gonna the shit out of this thing. Each emphasis, each moment of emotional expression looked so perfectly calculated, and everything continued to circle back around to promoting and platforming the turning point, the business. She even directs people to their website. She tells them to start chapters wherever they are. She even goes so far as to say that there is absolutely no excuse to not start a chapter if there is not one near you. She also says that the evildoers will pay for what they've done. Here's the thing though, this speech was broadcast live, which means that it was broadcast after Tyler Robinson turned himself in. Now the language around the shooter has been very singular, very solo. We caught the guy. We already know that it looks like Tyler Robinson is aligning with the far, far right, in particular, the GroPro movement. So, who are these evildoers to which she's referring? And if you for 1 second think that she had time to get a full beat, hair done, come up with that speech, but didn't keep up with Tyler Robinson's probable affiliations, then you're either on the wrong page or you need to hold onto your hat because you're about to get a crash course in chaos.
Instead of standing on stage proclaiming that his death has ignited a fire and that his business will continue on, she worked behind the scenes to preserve his legacy through interviews, through his presidential library, and most importantly, through his children. See, while Erica is telling their 3-year-old that daddy's on a work trip with Jesus to be able to afford her Blueberry budget, side note, weird amount of guilt you're giving a toddler that she's somehow responsible for daddy being with Jesus, Jackie was instructing their 3-year-old how to salute a casket, instructing him, John, you can salute daddy now and say goodbye to him. No blueberries, just reality. But I guess since Charlie Kirk is certainly no JFK, he had to marry an Erica, not a Jackie.
Yeah, Buki, the call is coming from inside the house, and whoever did the body did a good job. Now, Charlie Kirk's wife recently, well, she got the body, child, and she posted these images, I believe, of him getting a medal from the president. I'm not entirely sure the title of the medal, but baby, she'd have posted the body. And also other images of her kissing the body. I mean, we've seen this at funerals. This is nothing new. It's really what most widows and loved ones do to their loved ones, right? I think the internet was a little bit more alarmed that she posted it, because mostly funerals are pretty private. But after she had posted those images of his funeral, child, she then posted this message. You could pause to read it. I'm not going to read it. But she basically blaming everybody but the call coming from inside the house. Now, after she had made this post, she then took and did a speech, child. Let me play the speech.
The evildoers responsible for my husband's assassination have no idea what they have done. They killed Charlie because he preached a message of patriotism, faith, and of God's merciful love.
Girl.
But they should all know this. If you thought that my husband's mission was powerful before, you have no idea. You have no idea what you just have unleashed across this entire country.
Erica, please. Okay? We give you some grace because you lost your husband. But the fact that you keep saying they, them, and you guys, who was you guys? They found the assailant. It is this man right here. Girl, I don't know what power trip they done put you on, girl, but get off that ride immediately. And instead of coming for all of the internet for what your husband was saying, you need to download JPay and talk to the person who did it.
I just really wish Charlie Kirk's wife would have set this one out for a couple of weeks. Because to get on a podium and speak her little message or whatever and say, I don't know when the last time I slept. Ma'am, your husband died 48 hours ago, okay? You slept 48 hours ago, okay? And I can't imagine as a wife what she is feeling. But I just hate that. I feel like the government, the society, the people that followed him, they're using her now to fuel a fire, right? And I feel like she and her kids and their family are ultimately the ones that are going to really be mourning his loss. He was a part of their everyday life. They didn't just see him when he uploaded a video or when he went somewhere and made a statement. She is affected. Her everyday life is affected. So I feel like I just wish that when they encouraged her to speak, somebody would have told her, baby, just sit this, let things play out the way they're going to play out. Don't get up here and speak, because she's speaking, she's in a part of grief, right? Now she's in that part of anger. And rightfully fucking so. Her husband was unalived on a national platform, right? But I just hate that they're using her. I hate that they're using her to fuel a fire that has nothing to do with the larger population of people, especially those who did not believe in his rhetoric.
At first glance, it would be so easy to assume that she's talking about Democrats and the left. That would be the obvious answer. But if you watched my last video, you already know that I don't think she was talking to Democrats and the left. I think she was talking about other factions in the alt-right. I think the reference to evildoers served two distinct functions, and that it carried both a high and low frequency of messaging. The high, the obvious, it calls out to everyone that still believes that Tyler Robinson was radicalized by the left. And after scrolling through literally thousands of comments last night as I was looking at news media coverage videos, it is very clear that there still are an absolute ton of people that believe that he was radicalized by the left. Because of the word fascist used on one of the shell casings, they absolutely cannot wrap their minds around the fact that the phrases used were actually alt-right memes. They only know the word fascist as used as part of a left lexicon. So this high frequency messaging keeps them riled up, especially after MAGA Republicans have had to pivot away from directly accusing Democrats of having done it. The low frequency messaging, other far right factions, because by the time she made this message, it would have already been known that Tyler Robinson's affiliations would be with the far right, not the left. Steph, even if she was talking to other far right factions, wasn't this just the work of one angry shooter? Who put out the fucking book? That's right, it all comes back round again. Who published that biography one day before it actually happened? Who are they? What did they know? What role did they play? People are always talking about the left eating itself, but I want to know, what's happening with the right? So for the last day, the Democrats and the leftists have been online making jokes talking about, so are the white people going to fight back against other white people? Are the right going to fight the right? Yes. The answer is yes. Months ago, I made a video breaking down how Trump was trying to turn the states into a white Christian national state, but that beyond that, a lot of white Christians would eventually be shocked to find out that they are not the right kind of white, nor the right kind of Christian to be considered part of the in-group.
Erica Kirk is now going off. So this week has definitely been crazy with everything that's happened in the news. We all have heard about the Charlie Kirk thing. So Erica is no longer just this grieving widow. She has said that because of what has happened to her husband, that he laid down his life. And because of this, that people don't know what they've truly done. They've unleashed something. Her exact words were, they have no idea what they've done. If they believe Charlie's message was powerful, they haven't seen anything yet. What is that supposed to mean? See, before, Erica was a stay-at-home mom. She homeschooled the 2 young children. That's what she did. She was more based on traditional type values. Does that mean that now she's going to become front and center and become the become the spokesperson? Regardless, I guess we'll find out sooner than later. This is Lady Queen Black with News. Let me know what you think down in the comments below.
This one is probably going to be a little bit divisive, but I've seen the video of Erica Kirk, Charlie Kirk's wife, and her quite bizarre kind of setup for a statement about the loss of her husband. Now, as somebody who's kind of recently lost a very close family member under quite kind of tragic and traumatic circumstances, I can understand how grief is very different for everyone. But what I can't get my head around is that this woman lost her husband a matter of days ago, has 2 young children with him, yet is able to deliver a kind of faultless statement, pre-written statement, obviously, with a smile on her face for a lot of it. It looks like crying, but there are no tears. And the weird thing is that it's in a really staged setup with a photo of Donald Trump as the Times Magazine Man of the Year or whatever it was, and 2 MAGA hats. And also, why is she completely in white? Like, again, I know it's grief and people grieve differently. It's so weird to have this, what looks like, it looks like a marketing piece, is the long and short of it. Like, it feels very cold and very sterile. And just very, very bizarre for somebody who lost her husband so tragically. Why is one of the first things that she's doing going out and making this statement thanking the likes of JD Vance and Donald Trump? There's so much already that rings weird about this whole situation, and it doesn't add up. And this really adds to it. Am I the only person that's seeing that and is being a bit like, this is odd?
So Erica Kirk just gave a speech about her late husband, Charlie Kirk. But let's be clear, this is not a grieving widow. This is the most dangerous kind of woman, the male-centered woman. She stood up there and she called Charlie the perfect husband, the perfect father, and she promised that his voice, his movement, his mission will live on through her. But what was his mission? Right, inciting hate against minorities, against immigrants, against black people, against queer people, against women, us. She is not just mourning, she is sanctifying a man who spent his entire career demonizing the very communities that he put at risk. She is taking his politics of cruelty and she is trying to baptize them in widow's grief so that they appear holy, untouchable and righteous. And that is the male-centered trap. Women who build their entire identities around a man, no matter how harmful he is, and then become the mouthpiece for his legacy. It's the patriarchy's favorite tool because if she says it, suddenly it looks more soft, more emotional, more justified. But don't get it twisted, because Erica Kirk's battle cry of a widow is not about love or healing. It's about rallying people to continue her husband's hate. And that's why we have to call it what it is, dangerous.
I just had a really long day of travel, so I'm just getting caught up, but I did see the Erica Kirk video and we need to talk about it. For some reference before we dive in, I have a master's degree in communications and I work as a marketing manager, which means it is my job all day, every day to write copy, to create content, to edit videos, to do social media posts and write things for websites that get you to engage, whether that is to buy a product, to buy a service, to get you to volunteer for something. That is what I do all day, every day. I look at target audiences and then I get people to do things that are calls to action. And let me be clear, we're not even going to play the video. We don't even need to play the video because I am not talking about what Erica says at all. I'm talking about what is said by your visual cues in this video. Here is a still image of the video, and if you want, I encourage you to pause it and look around. What do you see other than her, which is also important? The thing that immediately caught my eye was that. And at first I was like, is that what I think it is? And it certainly was. What an odd thing to have turned out on a bookshelf to perfectly face the camera. And if you still don't know what that is, let me show you. That's exactly what that is. It is the Time magazine cover that features Donald Trump as Person of the Year, and that is a very odd thing to have staring down the camera. This subliminal messaging is echoed again in the foreground. You see one MAGA hat, two MAGA hats. That one's a little bit cut off, but that's certainly what it is. Now, given the events of this week, it makes sense that Charlie's picture is here, and it makes sense that there is some text there, but there are two things that do not make sense. What doesn't make sense for a mourning wife is to have the Turning Point USA logo at the very top. This is a branded statement. What also doesn't make sense is a podium in the middle of an office. Podiums, or lecterns as they're sometimes called, are used when you want to put someone in a position of authority. Think about a speaker at a conference. Think about even a pulpit in church. It's also a place where we know that messages are typically delivered that are either unifying or inspirational. Last but not least, look at just how much white is involved. You have the white bookshelf, the white wall. She is dressed in white. We are trying to make her, from a marketing perspective, look innocent and angelic and pure and all of those things that are associated with the color white. Yes, she does have a black shirt on, but this is not the typical look of someone who is in mourning. Typically, we see people wearing black. And let's not forget the empty chair with the microphone, which is very clearly meant to acknowledge Charlie's absence. But it's done so subliminally. And then she's standing there presiding over that empty chair from a podium. Now that you've seen all of that, my challenge to you is to write in the comments, what do you think all of this is? And what do you think all of this means? Because what I saw in that video today was not necessarily just a woman who is mourning her husband's death. I have a lot to say about that, but I just want to point out
There's a creator called Total Hypocrisy. I'm going to tag her below. I loved her take on the entire thing. I'm not going to go into detail. She does break down the optics of this. She's in marketing and all of that stuff. So she does break down like the entire optics of this. There's 47, Donald Trump in the background, all of that, right? Charlie Kirk, the turning point sign. She breaks down like the entirety of what this is trying to give off. What I will touch on only one thing she said, and that is the optics of this in terms of the wife looking like angelic and the room being white and pristine and her even wearing a white suit with her blonde hair down, and talking about the fact that it's supposed to give out like some sort of like goodness or angelicness or like, you know, sweet wife, whatever to that degree. Again, go watch her video. To me, a person of color, a black woman, this actually is very creepy. This lack of color, this lack of, for me, it's a lack of a human being present, right? It's very much giving uncanny vibes. And right, she's a widow. She lost her husband. This is not me taking down Charlie Kirk or talking about celebrating his death. I'm not celebrating his death. I'm not mourning it either, Pookie. Like, please move on. But the optics of this as a black woman, it's very much giving the mistress of the house, the master's wife. Like, this makes me unsettled, right? Like, this is giving what's her name? Something Joy from The Handmaid's Tale. Serena Joy from Handmaid's Tale. It creeps me out. And I think there's a level of cultural difference when we're viewing optics. It's like, because white America has the foothold and their boot on everybody's necks, they have created a realm in which they do things like this. And what it's supposed to signal to all of us is, you know, a very sweet, safe, white, you know, angelic, right? Because, you know, angels, whiteness, like they're tied together. But to any black person who's ever watched a scary movie, this looks like the beginning of one. This looks like in the movie when they tried to pan to when everything went to shit. This, right? Like I'm unnerved. It's giving Stepford wife. It's giving the lack of something. And I don't know, like, I don't want to say like the lack of a soul, the lack of a human. I can't pinpoint it because it's probably different for everybody viewing this and seeing this and watching this. And I don't want to speak on behalf of everybody. Also, I'm not trying to take down this woman. She just lost her husband. Whoop-de-doo. But what I'm saying is that the optics of this scenario, with the Trump in the background and the white hat and the gold, whatever, the symbolism that it's supposed to give to me, personally, as a black woman, it creeps me out. This does not look like a grieving wife. This looks like our new prime minister. Okay, this looks like the queen taking over for the king. You get what I'm saying. And this is what I'm saying, like when it comes to culture, we're watching like scary movies or horror movies and people are like, I did not see that coming. I assure you, as a black woman, I saw it coming. There is something about somebody who tries to portray a level of like, I'm pristine, I'm put together, I'm like, there's something about that person being like that 24/7. I'm talking from a movie aspect or from a TV show that's like, ooh, she's not the killer. Even if she's not the killer, she helped the killer. Something going on with her, right? This is what this gives. By no means do I look at this and go, oh, she's a good woman. I look at this and go, is she a part of B613? Like, I am concerned. I am worried, right? Like, she looks all too happy to be taking over. Again, I am not saying she's happy her husband got shot and was killed and lost the father of her children. That is not what my take is about. So if you're going to enter my comments saying that, leave. My take is that if you've ever watched a show or a scary movie, you know there's a point in the movie where there is a speech given of some kind and the person is set up like this and you're like, oh, this is about to either be the murderer or the person who takes over the country. That is what this is giving. Under no circumstances do I go,
oh, poor thing. And again, I'm black. I have my issues with the rhetoric with Charlie Kirk. This is not what this video is about. My point is, optically, I am terrified. I am worried. I'm afraid. I'm uncomfortable. Like, those are all the emotions. Not me specifically. These are, I'm just uncomfortable. It's, for me, it's giving Uncanny Valley. It's giving Serena Joy. Like, it's not giving anything besides this cannot be good here, right? And I think, like I said, culturally, maybe white people will see this and go, oh my God, she looks like such a sweet woman. Poor thing. And for me, it goes, I'm taking over his shit. In like a B613 kind of way. And maybe Scandal is on the brain too much and I'm doing too much of a Scandal brain drop here. But tell me what you think of this image. Because she did put out a speech. And like, there's a podium in his office. The entire thing is white. And I'll add this last part because I had a video on this before. There is something very strange about having a house, any portion of your house, completely and utterly devoid of color. And I'm not just talking about the little drops and hints of color. But to go out of your way to have a white or a beige house to be devoid of color gives a level of soullessness I simply cannot describe or articulate appropriately right now. But pontificate on this image here. What vibes are you getting? And again, watch Total Hypocrisy's video because I loved her breakdown and she discusses it in her